When we last ended, we were talking about Kerry Washington's character on Scandal, which I think is a great character. I think it's well written. And I do admit, when this show first started, that concerned me. When I figured out that she was having an affair with the president, I was like, oh, man.
Right.
Why the black woman got to be having an affair with the president who happens to be white?
Right.
You know, so that played on my mind. But then I came out of it because her acting is so... I think just the whole script is fabulous. So,
it is. And I like the dynamics of every character because they fully developed each character, unlike some shows that they have out.
Right.
So you kind of like buy into every character that you see, not just the main character, not just the president. You know what I mean?
Right. And even during our break, we were having a little talk about the reality shows and how some of it seems to sometimes be staged. And I'm sure it is. Or they're put into situations like the situation with Evelyn in the room with the wine bottles. You know there's already friction. Why would you put them in a room with wine bottles? You know what I mean? So sometimes I think these situations are... they're made to cause friction, and definitely each character has taken responsibility for who they are and how they've acted. But I do think by it being on TV that they do add stuff to it to make it, to really drive up the drama. So we have to look at that also.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's what every show, but also it's a reality TV show, and most people are not going to sit and watch people just sitting around having a conversation, drinking coffee. I mean, all the hottest shows, Mob Wives, Bad Girls Club, Real World, all of these shows, they all have drama and real life fighting in them.
Exactly.
And they put them in those
And they're
situations.
not always, people that are fighting are not all black. And so
no, they're not black.
Which
This is what I'm saying.
Into the main point of our conversation.
Right.
Probably how black people, period, are stereotyped on TV. Because you have the whole Housewives franchise has had major fighting. In fact, Atlanta has probably had the less fighting of all of them, really. But only black women seem to get pegged as being this fighter, this bully, all of that, when all of these women are acting this way.
And if they start fighting and acting ridiculous, then they are classified as ghetto.
Right.
Or they've been hanging around black people.
Right.
God.
That's how that works.
I'm just saying.
No, I totally get that. I totally get that.
I can't keep going on.
So we're going to go into our next subject. We'll come around to Obama.
Right.
Seems that there's constant friction between Obama and, I want to say the black community, but I specifically want to go into his, what he has going on, seems to have going on, or doesn't have anything going on anyway, with Cornel West and Tavis Smiley.
Okay.
People seem to be split about them. Some people think they're haters. Some people think they're bitter. Other people think that they have legitimate arguments with the president. What do you think when you hear about that?
All right, I got to separate the two.
You got to separate
Cornel West from Tavis Smiley.
Okay.
And we talked about this briefly, so let me explain. I do think that Tavis Smiley is bitter. I think that Cornel West is having some issues with the president, and he's bringing up some topics, and I think that they've come together, and now they have similar issues. Tavis Smiley, though, and I always go from, I always look at people's motivation. What is their agenda? Why did you, and he could have a valid point, but your point started from the fact that he didn't come to your dinner. And from that point on, you've been singing nothing but sad songs about Obama, from Tavis Smiley's point of view.
Okay.
So if, in fact, he really had legitimate issues with President Obama, I think he shouldn't have let it off with this, he didn't come to my dinner, because now you sound scorned to me.
Well, was Tavis also scorned when he called Bush out for not coming to the State of the Black Union? I'm concerned. That doesn't make sense.
He might have been. I mean, my whole thing is, if your issue with Bush started at the dinner, then maybe. If Bush started,
but wouldn't that be a legitimate argument if you're having a platform where you're discussing issues in the black community and the president is not coming to that platform to discuss it? Would that not be a legitimate beef?
You can be upset or disappointed, but for you to say that, okay, because the president is black, he should have been there. Is that his whole platform? Because again, like I started to say before, it It sounds better to me. I don't. That's just my opinion.
So this black president, who the black community voted for more than 90%, should not go to a platform to discuss the black community.
Yes. Whatever he had going on, is his only objective for black people?
This black president,
right,
who black folks voted for more than 90%,
right? Who else? And did they vote for?
It might not be nobody else. When Bush was in office, white folks knew that was their president, and they expected shit to happen and shit happened. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, because Bush is.
But that's real. That's real.
No, let me just say this to you. I'm not saying that it ain't real.
When folks vote for a candidate, they expect that candidate.
I'm not saying that it isn't real, but when Bush got in office, America didn't look half as how it looked when Barack Obama got in office. It didn't look what? America didn't look half as bad as it did when Barack got in office. No, it did not.
That's true. Because he just came in after Clinton.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And then after that, you took America and raped it. And then said, here you go. Do what you want to with it. So that when you, as a matter of fact, you were so cool. Did you notice when he left the White House? He pimped out of the White House. You didn't see him?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. He did. And he thought, listen. Just listen to what I'm saying. Bush, I'm trying to be fucking hilarious. Bush was so oblivious. I watched this whole thing. He didn't realize people had a beef with him. He was walking out. Somebody was like
because
telling him,
his people didn't have a beef with him. He did everything his constituents wanted him to do, and that's what he was concerned about. I did my thing, and yes, if he did pimp out, hell yeah, he did because he did what they wanted. Right. So there wasn't he didn't see no other beef.
Right.
I satisfied the folks who voted me in.
No, he satisfied the rich people because he didn't get voted in. He didn't win.
However it happened, the folks that supported him.
He already said you don't have to get all the votes.
I totally agree with that. The stolen election and everything.
So,
but he did what the folks who wanted him in.
Right, because that's
what they wanted him to do. There are folks that would still vote for Bush.
What he wanted them, they did what he wanted him to do because it also served his purpose as well. You think that dude wasn't getting his pockets laced? So all of that stuff he didn't do it because they voted for him. He did it because he was getting money. Oh my God!
The Bush family doesn't need any money. It's the Bush family.
Okay, let me help you.
If this was the Jackson family or Obama's, I can understand that. They didn't come from the Bush family has already been wealthy.
So you don't think he made money from all these?
I'm sure he made money.
He made a lot of money.
I'm sure. But they were going to have money regardless
of the war. But you think rich people ain't greedy?
Well, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
that's what I'm saying.
Everything worked out for him because he satisfied his constituents. That's the main point of my argument. Not if he made money.
The constituents
Bush never gonna make money.
The rich people, because it wasn't.
I think it was white folks. Damn. Period. When you have white folks saying we want our country back, I'm confused.
No, because if that were the case, because white folks were mad at the time. That's why white folks voted for a black president. You think them white folks would have voted for a black president if this country wasn't where it was? Come on now. Ain't no white folks ain't voting for a black CEO of Coca-Cola. You think they gonna vote for a black president? Okay. This money, dollars. If y'all think it's all about black and white, Hispanic and all of that, you missed the point entirely. Because it's really about the dough. We're gonna take a break for 1 second. We're gonna come right back.
Okay. And welcome back to At the End of the Day. So we were having a little heated discussion there about Obama. We totally got off our subject, but I'm gonna try to rewind it back.
Coming back.
I do agree that there were white folks that were mad at how the previous 8 years had gone and were just ready to get anybody else in. I do agree with that. But I still stick to the point that Bush did satisfy his constituents.
I think he did.
And I think that is the argument that Tavis and Cornell have, Smiley and West have with President Obama.
And let me just say this: I do agree with Cornell West.
Okay.
To most of what he's saying, because of the fact that yes, there are a lot of issues that still have to be dealt with that should have been dealt with presidents past. I mean, even Clinton dealt with something.
You're right.
But I do also understand that it was a whole lot that was put on his plate.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of like, okay, if you get a second term, dude, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right. But I do, and sometimes when people have that argument with Smiley and West, it's almost like we can't criticize this president as black people because he is a black president. He's our first black president, and we should just be lock and step and don't say anything. Shh, don't say nothing, because you know we lucky. You know, and I just think I'm tired of black people having to live up under that code that we can't say anything about how we feel, and we still have to shuck and jive in 2012. That makes no sense to me.
I mean, you know what? And that's kind of like that thing that's inbred, like how, you know, if we get pulled over by the police,
exactly,
we are supposed to be polite. You don't make too much noise, right? You don't open your car door. You yes sir, no sir, yes sir. Massa, you know.
Exactly.
I mean,
and that's pretty much how we deal in America, period.
Right. Because, you know, we're taught not to make waves. But at the same time, in certain instances, I have to agree. I do say that I feel like, golly, this is our first black president. Let's give him some time. Let him
totally get that.
Face himself out.
And the thing that some people were saying with Smiley and West is that they hadn't done this to any other president.
Well, I disagree with that.
They definitely went in on Bush big time. I remember that whole thing. So I think that's untrue. I think it's more of people feeling like they have no loyalty to black people, to the first black president, because they'll bring up issues that concern them.
Right.
And I just think they should be able to, if any president we should be able to bring our issues up with, this should be the black president.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
Like you said before, he knows what we're going through.
Exactly.
For the most part.
That was the other thing that they were saying. If you want to take, like, the gay community, the Latino community, the Jewish community, they have an agenda. They take it to the president and present what they want done. And then they were saying black people need to get an agenda. And I was saying that the president's black, maybe half black, but still black. He claims to be black. He has a black wife, black children. He knows, to me, what the issues are in the black community. I don't see what there needs to be an agenda for. Please don't act stupid. You know what needs to go on. And I totally support this president and will be voting for this president. Absolutely. But I think we should be able to criticize this president, which is my main argument, if we want to. Definitely in a respectful way, but definitely we want to get, our work.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. You're not going to sit here and act like every policy he's put up there we agree
exactly.
with. I think that they should, we should be able to criticize the president, no matter what color he is.
Right. I totally agree. So let's segue that into, there seems to be a gender war, or a so-called gender war, which I'm not buying into, between black men and black women.
Right.
Like I said, I don't buy into it. I have no problem with black men.
So tell us about the gender war. Like, what do you mean when you say
there seems to be friction. There's all these stats have come out concerning the single black woman household. Black men especially being in Atlanta, black men supposedly all on the down low giving black women AIDS. And then with the whole stereotyping with the reality show thing, then you have black men saying that's why I don't date black women because of that, and that's how they act. And then you have the black woman who sometimes says that all black women are no good, they're either gay or in jail. And it just seems to be friction between us. And what do you think about that?
I think they're right. I think they're all right. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I think that what I've said before, when it comes to men and women, especially African American men and women, that there are not enough real, candid conversations. And so therefore, all you really have is, rhetoric and, this person over here now, that one person makes you feel that way about everybody. And your people decide, like, okay, once they get hurt or angry or mad, that's it. They're not going to look anywhere else. And so instead of, especially when black women, we mainly deal with black men. And so if you had a black man and he cheated on you, or he left you and he's not paying child support, or you got a black woman and all she do is complain, and she sit at home, she's spending all your money, say you don't make enough, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? So then you just decide, okay, this is all black women, this is all black men, instead of really looking at what you're attracting.
Exactly. Which I think is at the end of the day really what it boils down to.
Okay.
And sometimes I think when we interact with other races, other cultures, we have on our best clothes, our Sunday clothes. Whereas sometimes when we interact with each other, we're a little bit more relaxed. We say things we probably wouldn't say. With other folks, we're a little bit sometimes maybe too comfortable, but I guess you should be able to be comfortable with your own. But sometimes when interacting with other cultures, we've got to smile on, we're on our best behavior because we want to impress and we don't want to embarrass nobody.
Right.
So I think that has a lot to do with it too. And we will act certain ways with other cultures that we won't act with our own sometimes.
Right.
Like a brother can, holler at you and you just be like, hey, whatever. But sometimes if a white guy probably wouldn't be mean.
No,
but if a white guy speaks to you, you're like, hi, how are you? You go into your Becky voice. Right. So I think that sometimes that plays into it, and I think we have to stop listening to the stats so much and go by our own experience. If you had black experiences with men and they happen to all be black, there's still the common denominator in that situation is you. If you had bad experiences with women and they all happen to be black, still the common denominator is you. And I think sometimes we buy into that, well, I'm gonna what do they say when because I think we're the only culture encouraging our women to date outside of its race. We say you need to free your mind, open up your options. No other culture or race is saying that to their people, and I think that's ridiculous. Because black men come in all shades. If you want light, bright, damn near white, you can get that. Yes. If you want kunta, you can get kunta, and we love kunta. Yes, we do. And we have black men with different experiences from Bowen Homes to the White House. You know what I mean? So I think that you can find that, within us. Not that there's a problem with dating outside the race, but if you come to the point where you just like, I'm just through with black men, they ain't no good, only white men can treat me. I think that's where the gender wars come in, and that's why it seems to be so much friction. Race,
really.
Exactly.
That's a sign of self-hate. If you deal with anybody who said they don't deal with their own race, be very afraid.
You see crazy coming across the street. That's what
because if I met a white guy, he said, I only date black men, I don't date no white girls, I'd be like, crazy.
Right. Right.
I'm just saying, because you should be comfortable enough to know people, and what I realize is that people are people, and race doesn't play a part. A man is a man, whether you black like Kunta, light, bright, whether you in between, white, brown. I've learned that men are men. Men are men. And if you haven't learned that about women as well, stop saying that when these white girls flip out on you that they're hanging with black people, because they ain't hanging with me. So, but
I get your point.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Right. So, at the end of the day, just realize that people are people, and if you really want to get to the heart of a guy or a woman, then you need to have real, candid conversations and not
dialogue,
trying to holler, but really finding out what's going on.
Real conversation. Well, we're going to come back after this break, and we're going to engage our audience and see what they have to say on the topics we discussed. Please stay with us. Thank you for joining us again. So we've gotten a few questions from the audience, and these are some really good questions, I think. The first one says, do you think that just because the president's black, that he is obligated to attend every black function or do things to satisfy every black person?
That question directed at me? Because no, I don't think so.
We can both answer it.
No, I don't think that. I think that the president should address things that basically address the people, the United States. However, I think that when there's a disparity, just like when there's a disparity at work, they do things to adjust, to make the disparity not so great. And there is a great balance. There is a great disparity with the poor people of this nation, and unfortunately, the majority of the poor people happen to be black folks. So yes, every president, I thought, should have addressed that. And Barack Obama, I think, should hold that personally because he is black. Realistically.
I'm going to say yes, but I understand that's a fantasy world. I totally get that. But I still think that because we voted for him in such high numbers, we are his main constituency. And I think that, not that he has to go to every function. We wish. But I do think there should be more focus on black people. And not that because he's done things with the student loans. He's tried to get things done with health care. He's addressed a lot of things. But I still think the major thing with police brutality in America, even though Eric Holder seems to be coming in and doing some type of thing, but I think these are major things that need to be put on the agenda. And stop coming, and also stop when you do come to us, stop talking down to us. Stop telling us that we're whining. Stop telling us, like he has said this, Stop telling us on Father's Day that, you know, belittling our black men like all of them aren't doing the right thing. That bothers me because he wouldn't say that to other audiences. He wouldn't go into a white audience on Father's Day and tell them how the men aren't doing anything. You know, I just think certain things, and maybe he may be too comfortable with us. You know what I'm saying? And I think if we're going to keep it like that, where the black folks, then don't speak to us different than you would speak to other people. So,
But also I do think that he couldn't do that. He couldn't do anything for the black community off the bat because you know he wouldn't get reelected.
Well, I think
you know that's what
you need to go for Augusto because you may not get reelected this time. I mean, I go back and forth with that, and I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? You may not get reelected this time. You should have put all into the first time.
It
I do
either
understand
way.
it's a catch-22. I think people sometimes go into the presidency. I will allow this. They go into the presidency or into a political office with high aspirations, thinking they're going to change the world. You get up in there and you say, "Oh, this is totally different than I thought." So I'm allowing for that and understanding that. But going from past administrations who served their constituency, I would just like for black people to be looked at as the main constituency because we are with this. Our second question is, how accurate do you think the portrayal of black women? How accurate do you think the portrayal of black women is on TV?
Reality shows,
or just I guess period.
I don't think it's well on reality shows. It's not that accurate. Because when guys come up to me, oh my God, when guys come to me and be like, "See, that's what I'm talking about. That's how y'all black women are," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, no, I don't know these bras. You understand what I'm saying? We don't act like that."
Do you say broads?
Broads. I do say broads, or I say bitches. I do, but I don't know them, and I just say, you know, at the end of the day, these girls, they act how they're gonna act, but this is for TV. Right. Most bras are not jumping across the table. Most of these babies are not taking some other girl's purse at 40-something years old. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at 30-something, I'm not taking nobody's purse and walking away with it. You say what you got to say, you walk off. I mean, on TV, it's there to make you watch, but it's not really accurate because that's not really how women, black women that I know, act.
Right. Well, I think
we working. That's another thing.
We do a lot of things. There are some women that act like that. There are some women. I'm not against. Okay, let me say this. I understand. To me, Evelyn walking across the table gave me life. I loved it. I just it was drama at the highest point, and I just was like, but I understand. And listen, not that even Evelyn is black, so that's a whole nother conversation. But she's categorized with us. They haven't even allowed that she's not even black, but whatever.
Black people, that's what it was.
So I think there are some women that act that way, but there are so many other women that don't.
Right.
I think you find both because black women, just like black men, come from all backgrounds and have all types of personalities.
Right. But the thing is, they're asking, is that how black women act? And I say no, because there are women who act like that across all the races.
Right.
But again, like I said, these women are not going to a 9 to 5 every day. Because if you did that at your job, you would be packing your box.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying? And I'm not condoning it, nor am I saying you shouldn't. Because in the right circumstance, you just might get popped.
Just never know. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It says how accurate. I mean, I think it's accurate for a certain sector of women. I don't think it's accurate for
black women.
all black women.
Right. It's accurate for
I
women,
just don't.
Certain women, but not black women. Because like you said, Evelyn's not even black. So,
the last question, do you feel Obama met the promises that helped get him into office? Which kind of goes back to our first question. I think he's done, don't get me wrong, I do think he's done a lot.
He's done a lot.
I think he's done a lot, and hopefully in the second term we will see a lot more. But like you said, and you brought the point, and definitely, I thought about it, but hadn't thought about it in context of this conversation, and you are right. He did come into office with a plate load of stuff going on, plus another plate, and another plate, another plate. So I think he had a lot to work with trying to straighten out when he came in.
And I think the promises that he made, I think he's trying to, but he's not a king, he's the president.
Exactly.
And so when you got people, when you trying to give an address and somebody screaming out, "Liar!" I mean, really, how much cooperation in the White House do you think he's really getting?
And you're right, because then you have to look into Congress and all of that, and they aren't really supporting him on bills, so all that comes into play. I totally get that. So, another question we had was about P. Diddy and his son. There was a big uproar of Justin getting a scholarship to UCLA, I think. And people were saying that he should not have gotten a scholarship because of the fact that his father is rich and can definitely afford to send him to school, and he doesn't need a scholarship. What do you think about that whole argument?
Well, let me just keep it all the way 100. There are a lot of rich kids who go to school on scholarships. And they get they'll try to get state funding and Pell Grants.
We've seen that in Georgia with the lottery fund.
Yeah, with the whole
scholarship, exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's, you can't get mad at him.
Exactly.
Get mad at the system. Right. That's just like, hate the game, don't hate the player.
Exactly.
I mean,
I totally get that.
And you can't get mad at him because they want to give his son money.
But what I don't like about it is that people weren't allowing Justin his moment to revel in all of this. Right. To be like, hey, I got that scholarship because it was academic based and sports based, athletic based. So all that came together. I do think UCLA sees something in Justin as far as just having Justin there at the school, which gives it, a whole bunch of credibility. It just does.
Right.
And so I think that all comes into it. And I just think Puffy probably will pay for his college education, but I don't think he has to make an announcement before the world of, we're going to give it back. Thank you so much. We know that just. I just think it doesn't matter to me if he does not. But I just see him as being a person who probably be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll handle it. But what I'm not going to do is satisfy the haters out there and talk about it. So
I hope he doesn't give it back.
Right.
I hope he doesn't give it back because the reality is, rich people have been taking advantage of the system for years.
I totally get that.
Decades. And how the rich stay rich is by getting other people's money, not spending their own.
Right. You're
so
right about that.
Puffy and Justin, congratulations. You earned it. Whether he earned it, whether it was given to him, whatever. However he got it, he got it. People need to mind their own business. If you want to go to college, you want to get on a scholarship, stop raising dumb babies. I'm just saying. It gets on my nerves. People always
but I agree with that. I think he should be able to keep it. Yeah. But I just think people want to force people to do what they want to do, and it just seems to be so much money hate.
Teach your kids more than the ABCs and 4 equal Jello.
I'm proud of Justin that he's not relying on his father's money. He was working hard in school to get those grades because he was at a private school to get those grades, and he wasn't just like, my dad got it. Exactly.
No matter what, I'll get into school.
Yeah. Well, this has been a good show. I've enjoyed it.
Wow, went by quickly.
We hope to do this with you again, and thank you so much for joining us at the end of the day. You can reach me and my co-host at our email address, which is attheendoftheday@thebelanenetwork.com. And we thank you so much. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. The audience was great.
Right.
And also, you can follow me on Twitter at Shonta Motre, which is SHONTAMOTRE.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Atlanta Sister. That's Atlanta like my great city. Sister, SISTAH, one word. And we'll see you next time. Remember, we're on the B Lane Network, where we are always bringing it to you.